it, and you should, you know, once it's seeded and all, you should water it so that, unless you have nice damp potting soil. So you should make sure that the soil is damp when you put the seeds in. And then this is going to water everything, see, in the bottom. See the big holes?
Mm-hmm.
As the roots germinate and start going down, they're going to hit that capillary mat, which is damp, wet. And you never have to worry about watering this going dry, except you look, where's the end? Down here at the end, there's a little peak hole. Right here it is. There's a little kind of a notch there. And you can look down in there to see what level the water is at in here, in the water tray. So all you have to do is look down the peak hole and see where the water is. Put your hose right there, fill it up again with water. You don't ever have to water this thing from the top again. It just soaks it up from the bottom. That's really the way they like to grow. They like to be watered from the bottom up anyway.
Joyce, does that get your kind of name?
That's the problem. It used to have a name. Oh, it did have a name on it. And it's kind of worn away. If anybody could figure this one out, it's on the end here, but my eyesight isn't that good anymore. I think it says propagating, or something or other, 24. But it doesn't tell you who the company is. And I've lost all track of it, except that I got it out of the catalog, seed catalog.
I think it's.
So you can look through all that stuff, you know.
Where's that?
I just put propagating in Google search.
What came up, anything?
I don't know. You could
Oh.
try it.
Oh, yeah. Well, however you guys do
I
that.
found one,
Did you find it?
but it's not from the same, it's not from the same material, but it's very similar. It's in California.
Does it say propagating mat? Self-watering, seed tray.
Propagating. And it's.
It does have, see right there, you can see the little,
Right. And that's the link for the website.
well, tell everybody. What is it?
There's a link for a website on the internet, and it says grow.ars-informatica, INFORMATICA.ca.
Can you say that again?
Sure.
Show it to her, show it to
It's
her.
coming
She's
from
writing it
Canada.
down.
It's coming from
Canada.
Canada. Grow.
Grow
Canada?
dot
CA is AR what?
ARS, as in Sam,
S like Sam.
dash INF as in Frank, ORMATICA.ca.
CA, oh, Canada, CA. Oh,
That's
it's
what
for
all their
Canada.
websites are, is .ca.
Oh,
Informatica.
Yes.
.ca.
huh. Well, it has a picture there and it's broken down into parts. So I couldn't see it all, but I have an idea. It looks similar to this.
And I think that one I've seen on Peaceful Garden.
Peaceful Gardens, Peaceful Valley, Peaceful Valley Farms. Okay, try that one.
I think I've seen it there.
I think Peaceful Valley Farms website is Grow Green or something like that.
Grow organic.
Oh,
Grow
Grow
Organic.
Organic, oh yeah, okay. Well, this is such a handy little thing. If you're just, and you can do these, see, in little rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, you can put little pinches in each one of these, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different varieties, or whatever. However you want to divide it up. This is so handy. I only have 2 of these left that are all together. And then I just wash them out with a little brush, a little kitchen scrubbing brush, and Clorox, diluted Clorox. I use a big I use a big garbage can, a plastic garbage can, fill it up with water, and use a half a gallon of Clorox in a full garbage can. And then I dump all of these little boxes and trays and things that we keep these by the hundreds until the sun breaks them down, then I throw them out. But I put all of that stuff in the Clorox water. Swish it up and down, take my little kitchen brush, go around in the little cells, get all the dirt out of them, let them soak a little bit, lay them out on trays, stack them up like this on trays, and let them dry. Usually in the sun. I like to leave them in the sun. And then they're sterile. And you've got nice, clean, sterile trays, no leftover dirt, and you have a nice place to store them. That's good. So here we are. Now this is that Romanesco. Isn't that pretty? That's kind of interesting. I thought this was so, for a crudette plate, you know.
How does it taste?
It's just like broccoli, finely mild, kind of mild, but really nice. Just kind of like broccoli. And this is the old standby. I like to buy the old standbys, premium crop, Goliath. Some of the old timers, they make a nice central head, and then they put out the side shoots for over a long period. Now, let's see, here we go. This is rapini, you know, the, oops, what did I do? Go back. Here. The rapini is the Italian broccoli, you know, that you actually eat. See the little head, this is out of focus. I think maybe that one back there might show it better. These are little heads right here, broccoli little heads. And you can even let them go to flour. And they steam them, chop the bottoms, the stems up, put them in the bottom of the steamer, chop the tops up, lay them on top of the stems, steam it, beautiful. It's wonderful, put olive oil on it. And let me see, this one, the new cauliflower, the purples and the orange. There's a one that this looks gorgeous in the catalog. I don't know if it gets that orangey color. And then this red one is from, I think that one's from Baker Creek. Frank, is he still here? Baker Creek, I think, yeah, that red one. As you can see, this one, how dark it is, and this one, how kind of variegated. Now, apparently that is open pollinated seed, which they carry a lot of. So that's not stable. That's an indication of a non-stable, open pollinated variety. This is one of the old standbys, Snow Crown. It's beautiful, it's quick. If you plant this by the 1st of October, you can have them for Thanksgiving. You can have them for Christmas, fresh right out of the garden. Cabbages. This one is that, somebody showed me a picture of one in a catalog that was so huge. They showed me the picture just this morning. Who was that? What are you going to do with a cabbage this big, she said. Well, they make, this part right in here is so tender for slaw. It's just gorgeous for slaw. Of course, the big leaves you can, I don't know, put them in the compost. But it's crinkly, you know, the leaves are crinkly even in the center head. And oh, it's so tender and delicious. It's really wonderful. But they're huge. They get this big around, 4 foot square you have to have. And this, of course, is the old drum head. They make sauerkraut out of this. They're really dense, but they shred beautifully. So if you're into sauerkraut, I had a friend that made sauerkraut in a big, one of those crocks, you know, a big crock, stone crock. And this is a new one. These are territorial seed. They're called red ball, and they're Brussels sprouts, but look at them, they're purple. And they have little crinkly leaves around the edges, see? What you're eating is right in here. That's this. See, so you take all that stuff off, but they're really pretty. I don't know what they taste like, probably just like Brussels sprouts. But it'd be pretty in the garden to try those. And here we have the kale. This one down in the end, I'm gonna grow that one this year because I love kale chips. And this one right here, this little middle one, I think is this one. This little frilly one. And this is a dwarf variety. Some of these get quite large. And people just keep pulling the stems, the leaves off the stem. And pretty soon the stem gets about that big around. Huge old stem. It just keeps growing because it's trying to put out new leaves. And people keep picking the leaves off of it. Pretty soon you've got this big monster stem you have to prop up on a stick. So I would start some new ones.
Joyce, do you make kale chips on a veggie thing or just the Tuscany?
Oh no, any of them. Yeah. Yeah, well, it seems to be the, I don't know why, seems to be the rage or something. But I like this one. I like this one for chips. Yeah, this is nice. I just take the stems off and then kind of chop them in bigger pieces, like a piece that big. And then toss them in a bowl with olive oil and put them on a flat cookie sheet in the oven. You guys all know that. No. Oh, they're crispy chips.
You brought them to the last meeting? Somebody did.
Not me.
Not you, somebody.
Yeah. I eat them at home. 2 hours. And sugar. Now I've already planted this is one thing about peas, folks. We did field tests on peas around here, inland of course, but because of the powdery mildew problem, invariably, if you plant them in the spring, they get powdery mildew about the time they bloom, and then the yield goes down. So we changed the planting date. Plant them in the fall now. They are only frost sensitive when they are in bloom. By the time a plant like this is that tall or this big around, the leaves have hardened off. They'll take a little frost. However, the blossom won't, because inside the blossom is the immature pod. Little tiny big like that. So if it freezes that pod. However, it'll just go on growing after the freeze dissipates and we have better weather again. It'll just keep blooming, and so you'll have a new set. Anyway, you'll have more peas coming on. Okay? So plant them in the fall. They go through, and then they don't have the powdery mildew. That was what we were trying to get away from. Now, in the catalogs, they'll say, this variety is powdery mildew resistant. Okay, so I would select those varieties. That doesn't mean it isn't gonna get it. It just says it's resistant. See? So, but if you planted it at the right time, because of the temperature being lower, the powdery mildew is in the air. It isn't associated with watering the plant like downy mildew is. So they have two kinds. Celery. This is a fun thing to grow, but it takes lots of water and real nice, rich soil. So you've got a bed that you've been using for a long time. You've got a lot of organic matter in it, and it's really nice and friable. Try this. However, to grow it, the seed is very slow in germinating. Look on the web. I think I have some instructions on that one. It took so long to germinate, and it was sporadic in the seeds germinating. And it took so darn long, and I gave up on it. I finally just bought some little plants that I found at the nursery, and set them out like this, and I'll be darned, years ago, in my favorite magazine, Rodale's Organic Gardening magazine, they talked about blanching celery. What makes the stalks nice and pale green like we like, and very mild flavor. They blanch it in the field. They put paper up along the sides of the plant and keep the sun off of it, so it doesn't make green chlorophyll. So when it gets green, it's strong flavored like the leaves are, you know. So instead of doing this bit like they do commercially, my magazine said, try milk cartons, paper, wax paper milk cartons, gallon or half-gallon size. Those are half gallons. So you cut the bottom off of the thing, open up the top, slide it right over the little transplant as soon as you put them in the garden. And they grow right up inside that package, that little carton. And they have to be right next to the tape because they like lots of water. So I would leave this bed on overnight, and in the morning from probably 6 o'clock at night until maybe 6 in the morning, I turn it off. So that bed's really soaked, but celery is growing, or I've seen it grow, over in Sweetwater River bed. How it ever got over there, I'll never understand, but it must have been a field there somewhere. And I've actually seen it growing in the riverbed where it's water all the time, see? So, but it's wonderful, it's beautiful. You can lift the carton up, you can pull the carton up a little bit like this, and then take a knife and just cut off one rib at a time around the outside, and then push the carton back down.
Oh.
Or, when it gets so full, the whole thing is full of plant material, just dig it up, and it has a big root ball. Whack off the root, trim off the outer stalks with the leaves, and then you'll get a thing that looks just like what you buy at the supermarket. Beautiful, pale colored, and wonderful flavor. You can't compare the flavor, something like this that you've just grown, if you've grown it well, to something that you've gotten from the supermarket that's maybe 2 weeks old from harvest. It's unbelievable. So these are fun things to try. Chard. I imagine everybody's tried chard. The colors are gorgeous now. Not too long ago, I read one of the agricultural bulletins that, I think it's this one, the gold one, they had lost it. It was something that mutated out, and so they lost it. But they've got it back now, so now I understand the gold is back again in the mix. See, we have the red, the yellow, the gold, magenta. It's called magenta, or pink. This is red. There is one that's always red. You can buy one that's red. I think it have a very nice flavor.
Joyce, what do you do for powdery mildew on the chard?
I have never had powdery mildew on chard. That's one green that will grow clear through the summer, as long as you give it good water, keep it watered well. It just gets a bigger clump. It keeps making more stalks, and it seems to take heat. I have it over there in El Cajon where we've had 90-degree days for like 3-4 days in a row. They've still got chard. Not much else, but they got chard. Lettuce. Oh, lettuce are beautiful. They make the most gorgeous beds because you have all these different varieties of lettuce nowadays. Look at this color. Yeah. And look at these shapes. Just gorgeous. Lots of leaf lettuce. In a mixed bed, you can make designs with colors and forms. Gorgeous. We have Oriental Greens, and these are really nice. Byron was going to send me a catalog from that Oriental Seed Company. Where is he?
Kikizella.
Oh, he's gone?
Kikizella.
Huh?
He's right here.
Oh, there you are. Back there for you. What's the name again?
Kikizella.
Kitazawa. Yeah. They've been in business for a long time. And they have all these lovely, oops, I do the wrong thing. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Red mustard. Now that's a nice one. That's lovely in the salad because it has a little bite to it. And it gets big. It has big leaves about this big, and boy, they are so hot. And but if you cook it, if you steam it and put it in a stir fry or just steam it, it loses that hot. It's a mustard. So when it's young and tender, like these little leaves are, then it's okay, nice and fresh in the salad. And this one is lovely in stir fry. It has a spoon-shaped leaf, and then it has a white little stem. And it grows in this little rosette. They're really pretty little plants. Roots, all kinds of roots. One year, somebody gave me their backyard to do a radish thing in. And so I found 18 different kinds of radishes. Most of them carry 12, at least 10 or 12. And we did all the different radishes in beds and did some comparisons. And they were really fun. And this is a nice one. I really like this one. It's green, looks funny on the outside. Looks like an old, I don't know, misformed turnip or something. But when you cut it open, wow, look at that color. And they're lovely for dips. You know, slice them real thin, dip them in something creamy, sour cream, something or other. Here is, what is this one? Carrots, yeah. They have, this one now is new. This one right here, it's dark, really dark, and the inside is dark. Some of these, like this, they'd be red on the outside, but they'd be orange on the inside. So find the one that has the red core. Try that one, it's something new. These are all supposed to have antioxidants that are good for you, you know. And of course the beets, they're beautiful in salads, steamed or baked. These are lovely. I like beets. There's lots of different kinds of beets. Some are better than others depending on how you're going to use them. And there we go to alliums. Here's the leek with the flat blade. See the flat blade right there? Mm-hmm. But you see over here, the onions, they have round leaves. They go around the onion. Now see, these are ready to harvest. When they get, it depends how many, they have to go through this vegetative state. That's why you plant them in the fall, before the 15th of November, because of the day length triggers them to go from vegetative leaf making to storage, bulb. So that day length triggers the plant to go into another mode. So the more leaves you have in the early vegetative state, the bigger your bulb is going to be. So that's why it's so important to plant by the 15th of November, because then that gives you the number of days it takes before the day length triggers them to go into bulbing. Our short day varieties. there's a dividing place by latitude. We are at 36 degrees. No, we're at 33 degrees. 36 degrees is the cutting off part on day length. Everything above 36, you use the long day variety of onions, see? Everything below 36 degrees, which we are at 33, you use your short day varieties. And in that website on Joyce's vegetable tips, on the Master Gardener thing, it'll tell you varieties. Vince and I went through just recently, within the last 3 months, we've gone all through that onion thing. And we've broken it down to all different kinds of onions that are listed. Garlic, leeks too, also olives. So I'm not gonna go into that anymore. You can read all about it. But this is what happens, you see, when they're ready to harvest, they push themselves up. The shoulders are pushed up out of the ground. And then they always say when the tops fall over, dig them up. Well, the tops never fall over here. So when they just get to be like that, big enough to pick up, you feel with your fingers right at the neck. We'll say this is one of those. I can't reach up there. Feel right here. Pinch it. And if it's soft, it's quit making leaves. It stopped making leaves. So it would eventually just fall over because it's weak right there and it would fall over. But they don't do that all the time, see? So go along and feel the neck, and if it's squishy, it's time to bend them over. You can just go ahead and bend. They'll just, if you give them a little push, they'll all fall over anyway. So leave them on the ground after you pull them up, but cover them with the leaves. Don't cut the leaves off. Just bring them up on the surface because you want that skin to dry off. That brown skin that's around them outside, you want that to, dry. So leave them on top of the ground, cover them though with the leaves so that they don't sunburn. So if you leave that nice lush, justly pushed up carrot out on the hot dirt in the burning hot sun, you're gonna get a sunburn spot, a soft spot on it. So cover them with the leaves, leave them there for a day or so, just for the skins to dry off. And pick them up, put them on racks, 1 layer deep if you have that. If you're gonna go into all this of growing a nice crop of storage onions, you wanna be able to save them for the winter. So make yourself some trays with screen on the bottom. Put them 1 layer deep put them in on a rack. Let them dry, cut the tops and the roots off, put them in there for storage in the garage, someplace where it's cool. And you've got onions all winter long.
What does it mean when they flower before they bulb?
Bolting,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's because they're the wrong variety.
But what if you have the right variety that does that?
They shouldn't do that. You've got the wrong one. You've got the wrong variety. Now, Walla Walla, Washington, has that big onion that they brag about. It's also grown in Hawaii and some other places. Because it's out of our latitude, they always said it wouldn't do well here, but I have had people tell me that they have grown a good bulbing onion from Walla Walla. Now I'm sure he didn't go into any detail about what time he planted them, how long it took him, according to the day length. He knew nothing about that. He just planted them and by golly, he got a bulb. It was just luck. So you want to try it. If you want to try it, try it. And then keep notes so that we have some idea of why it did this. Asparagus. This is a big crop in Imperial Valley. And we did field testing out here at Cuyamaca College. There's Charlie Robinson. Back in '84, I think this was. These varieties were trial varieties, numbered only, no names. Came from the UC Davis. And we started them all from seed. And of course, the crowns don't produce until they're around 2-3 years old, you know. So we planted this whole darn field, you see, with these crowns. We had to wait, you know, a year or two before we could even get any little stalks. Now, I think this is out of focus, so you can't see them, but I think there are some very skinny little stalks that I can see some places along here coming up. And of course, we didn't pick these because they were too smaller than your little finger in diameter. And they're just going to go to leaf to help build up the crown. So when they got to be like this, then they were going full blast. And the idea of the whole trial was not only to try these new varieties, but to change the planting date, harvest dates, not the planting, the harvest dates, so that it extended the harvest. So we harvested the stalks 1/2 of the row. Like maybe this is maybe a 50-foot row. 25 feet of it we harvested the stalks and let the other just go, it goes to fern. Then after so many days, weeks of harvesting this, we quit picking the stalks. We cut the fern down off of the other ones that were already gone to fern. We cut the fern all off and they started putting up new stalks, of course. Aha, that harvested another 2-3 weeks. See, extended the harvest. So you could try that at home. However, we have a problem here. We have an asparagus beetle that's been introduced from Imperial Valley. And they live in the fern during the fall. And I don't know if they poopate in the ground or, I can't remember now what exactly, but in the spring, they start eating the stalk head, eating the head off the stalk. So that was a big problem. So we finally realized that as soon as these went into the final mode of letting them build up energy for the next season, they have to have this fern, you know, for energy to build up the crown for the next season's stalks. So you have to let them go to fern eventually. So, but when we finally did cut them down for the stalks to start re-sprouting, we got rid of the fern because the eggs of that asparagus beetle were in the fern. So we had to be sure that we got rid of all that fern in the trash, not the compost, in the green waste. Either that or bury it if you don't have that facility.
Joyce,
Yes.
how long should I leave the fern on growing? Once,
Well, if you're gonna do this division,
no, I just have a small area and now with the fern.
well,
is
you know,
big.
eventually, depending on how old your crown is,
Okay.
you know, they get really nice and big. I like the big fat ones myself.
Okay.
Maybe that's 5, 6, 7 years old, that crown.
Yes.
And they keep enlarging. So you make sure that if you have more than one row, that you have enough room between the rows. At least 4 feet, I would say. Because the crown just keeps getting bigger and bigger. 5,
But
6,
once the
7
fern
years.
is up,
Yeah, as high as that, it stops growing.
okay, when it
And
stops
then,
growing, then
yeah.
clip it?
And then towards, if you're going to do the spring harvest, you wanna cut them off, what, November, December, yeah, November, yeah. And then the new stalks that'll come up in the spring will be the ones you harvest, yeah. And if you're gonna do the half a row for later harvest, you let them, don't pick the stalks, just let them go to fern, because you're gonna cut those off later, and they'll have. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. Potatoes, I don't know, have everybody grown potatoes, a fun thing?
Yep.
You get lots more potatoes than you ever plant. Look at that little bunch. They grow, it's kind of interesting, people don't realize that they don't grow on the roots of this plant, they grow on little umbilical cords that come off the main stem. There's a little cord that comes off here, clunk, there's a potato. The roots are down here. So off the side stems, these potatoes grow. So that's one of the reasons you should do this in a mound, because you want to be able to pull dirt up to cover, when they start doing this, up on the stalks like this, they get right up to the surface of your mound, and they'll push themselves up out of the ground, or one side will be sticking up above the ground level. They'll have chlorophyll buildup, which is toxic. So you want to take dirt from the aisle and push up to keep the potatoes covered at all times with soil. Otherwise they'll turn green, which is toxic. Okay? Don't buy potatoes from the market. If you find them in bags that look green, tell the produce manager, because they've been stored wrong. They've been stored in the light. What was your question?
I've never grown potatoes, and I've heard some people say you can take potatoes from the grocery store and plant them in the ground, and other people say not.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Yeah, do certified potato seed. They call it seed, but it's not seed, it's potatoes. It's little immature potatoes. I don't have a picture of it, but when you buy a certified, they come in a pound, like you buy a pound in the little catalogs, certified potato seed, or whatever they call them. And they're maybe about that big. There's a stem end, and the other end has 3 or 4 little buds on it, and around the center sometimes there'd be 1 or 2 little buds. Cut in between the buds, the back end of the potato has more buds, and that's the one that really produces the better potatoes, plants. They have to have flesh, stored energy to push the plant. So some people buy eyes, no good. They don't have enough stored energy. They take a melon scooper, scoop the eyes out, dry them out, and sell them to you. No good. Okay? But the reason you don't use them from the markets is because they've usually been sprayed or dipped in a solution to keep them from sprouting in storage. Yeah, so, and you don't want them to do that. You don't want that coming up. Plus the fact that they could carry some, bacteria on the skin. Yeah. Okay, I think we have a website on potatoes also.
What about soaking seeds to improve germination or speed up germination?
Well,
Do you ever
if
do
some,
that?
yes, in some instances, but you have to be ready to plant. Don't let them even go 12, 24 hours over that. If you're gonna soak them.
So plant them right as you pull them
Yeah.
out of the water?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Put them in a little fine sieve, drain them well, put them on paper towel, pat them dry so that you can handle them. They don't all stick together. And let them dry off a little bit and then plant right away. If you're gonna do it in containers or You can do it with potatoes,
Yeah, they're good.
parsley, or what is it, parsley?
No, I
Celery,
like
parsnips?
peas and broccoli and chard even, you know? I had
Well, to
trouble.
tell you the
I
truth, you
planted some chard and it didn't come up, so I'm soaking everything to get it to sprout.
well, is your medium wet when you put them in the soil? Is it?
Yeah, I think.
You
so.
have to have this
Absolutely.
damp so that the seed coat will soak up the water that's in the
Right.
soil.
Well, with those clear covers and it's.
They dry out too quick?
No, I have the cover over it and it's
Supposed to
a little
be, keep it,
rainforest in there.
yeah, okay, as long as it's not in the sun.
No.
Yeah, all right. Yes, your question in the back?
Have you tried growing tomatoes in the winter?
Not really. We have leftovers. You know, the little seedlings that come up in the compost bin or cherry tomatoes out underneath the avocado trees. I have those all winter long. I mean, they're just there. The birds find them, they pick the cherry tomatoes, they hop up in a tree, they excrete the seed, plunk. Next thing you know, here's a tomato plant growing under the avocado tree, usually a cherry tomato. So that's the only way I don't fiddle with it in the winter. Now, over here on the coast, you might want to, but I don't. They're very temperamental as to temperatures. Fluctuation between night and day. And they are so variable. I mean, you can find varieties that are only 58 days from seed that have been developed for up in Alaska somewhere, you know. And they might work over on the coast if you plant them at the right time. Have you ever tried that? Do you live on the coast?
No, I tried, I go ahead and get the
Yeah.
try though.
Well, some of the short maturity types that are developed for the northern areas might work on the coast. You might try them. Look in the catalog, find some of these 58-day varieties. Try them. Do some, you know,
Take notes.
okay? Yeah.
How often do you soil test, and what do you soil test for?
Well, on a new piece of land that's not had vegetables on it before, I would do one right away. First of all, if you're gonna work on a new piece of ground that's never had a vegetable garden, dig a ditch. Lay out one 10-foot long bed. Double dig it and see what you get. And I think the handouts show you how to double dig, and the book shows you in detail how to double dig. When you get down to the second layer, and you can't even get a digging fork in it, then you're gonna have a problem. You know you've got a problem. Or if you begin finding layered material as you dig down 2 feet deep, and you begin to find sand under there, or a hard pan layer, or all of a sudden a different colored soil, light gray, calcium carbonate. You're in trouble. Rocks, potato-sized rocks, you're in trouble. You know, so dig a ditch. Try to dig a 10-foot ditch. And you'll find out a lot about your soil. And then, if it seems to be okay, it seems like you can, you know, put a little amendment with it and it's gonna be fine. I would take some soil test. And I'll tell you, don't buy one of those little rapid things for pH, because they don't go far enough in our area. They go up to 8. And I see soil in East County over 8, 8.3, 8.5, and that's not just one increment, you know, that's 100. So when you do a soil test on a pH only, that's not enough. Yes,
Do you do it yourself or do you send it away?
send it away. We have a good lab down in Chula Vista, I think, yes.
On your row covers, do you use those, it looked like they were about 18 inches tall, so when the plants have gotten taller than that, or,
Take it off.
okay.
Yeah. If the plant has to be fertilized because it blooms, then you have to take it off as soon as it begins to bloom. But if you have like broccoli, you're not waiting for it to be pollinated. You don't want it to bloom. You're eating the bud. So, but the only thing is the friction of the leaves rubbing on it makes the leaves look funny.
Joyce, we have a question from somebody that's had to leave, but she's got an appointment. She wanted to know, even using compost, do you ever have to plant a cover crop?
Oh, that's really nice. It opens up the soil. If you have heavy soil, or if you have a hard pan, maybe deeper down. Yes, there are some very good cover crops to grow. Just, if you don't grow vegetables in the winter, put a cover crop on it and do a multiple one. Summer, in between seasons, if you have time and you have a lot of beds, I used to do buckwheat. It has hollow stems. It takes the heat, it grows fast, and you can chop it down because of the hollow stem, it disintegrates fast. You can just chop it down into the bed, let it, put a little nitrogen on it, blood meal or something, and it'll just decompose real quick. And that's a quick way to get more organic matter into a soil that you're going to plant maybe the season ahead. See, okay? But yes, in winter time, if you don't want to grow vegetables that winter and you want to build up your soil organic matter, do a cover crop. Pacific Valley Farms, Peaceful Valley Farms has a nice cover crop instruction part of their catalog. Peaceful Valley Farms, Grass Valley, California.
Joyce, you were saying about the soil testing, is that a company in Chula Vista, or?
Yeah, lab,
It's called
soil
lab?
testing lab.
Soil testing?
Yeah, call them master gardeners.
There's
The
a whole
hotline?
list in the office. There's a
Yeah.
whole list of them in the hotline office.
In the hotline office, we got all that information.
Ag Lab is one of them, and
Yeah, I know there's one up north, but I
Yeah.
thought Chula Vista's closer.
quicker.
Before you take a soil test, call the company if you're gonna do this. Ask them what they cover. You want everything covered, you know. So, ask them how they want you to take the testing. Because if you're going to use a large area, you want to set it out in a grid so that you get a sample from here, sample from here, sample from here, and then do they want you to mix it, or do they want you to number it and keep it separate? Because they're gonna do testing on 4 or 5 of them, and so you want to know if this corner over here needs something that this corner doesn't need, you know about it. But that's, if you just have one 10-foot long or 4 by 20-foot long bed, I'd take maybe three along, divide it up and mix it up in the bag. Ask them when you call them about feed, what they cover. You want everything covered. You want organic matter, you want nutrients, you want pH, you want EC, you want everything. So that you know what you're going to deal with. And ask them how much. And how do they want you to take the samples? You tell them how big the square footage is. Go out there with a tape measure, so that you know how many square feet you're going to deal with. See, so that you have that information already to talk to them about. Is this a half acre? What is this, 20 feet? Or a half acre? I don't know. I don't know how big my backyard is. Okay, anything else? Yes?
I know beans are warm weather crops, but someone mentioned that fava beans can be grown in
Yes.
the winter.
Yes, that is the one bean that's a cool season bean. Fava beans. They're very nice for building up the nitrogen in the soil too. Some people, don't forget, fava beans are toxic, or not toxic, but causes indigestion problems with some people. Fava beans. Mediterranean heritage. Winkler, you know about that. Okay, anything else? We're gonna have a summertime thing like this for the summer veggies. And it'll be in March. So if you have a greenhouse, or some kind of a little plastic place, and you have electricity to it, get yourself a hot mat. Look in the catalogs, see what you can find. There's some about $20, so that you can start your seed early. See, they take bottom heat, tomatoes. Okay?